Kyle, Jason Wiltshire, we are back.
Mm.
It is season 3. It is the summer movie extravaganza. I don't know what we're going to call it. We can work on that because it's technically like barely April, it feels like, right? Or
It's not even April
We're
yet.
in March. We're in
No,
March.
It's still technically winter, dude. I mean, it is.
It snowed yesterday in Middle Tennessee.
It did snow yesterday.
We are excited to be back. We're excited to get going. It's movie season. We're in the middle of movie season.
Yeah.
And we are fired up and ready to go.
We're so back, man. We are so back. I have missed this.
Back.
I have missed this so much. Like, got the kids off to school, and then I just spent the morning setting up the old podcast studio. It had been, packed down for the winter. And, we had thought about some earlier ideas about coming back a little sooner. But, man, when we started looking at the movies coming out, here in the spring and then moving forward in the summer, we're like, let's just do the movies again.
Let's just do the movies. Let's go. Let's go. I mean, we can get into other stuff as we go along, but
Sure.
We're here today to really just hammer down on the newest release that's just coming out this week. Used to movies came out on a Friday, then they came out on Thursday night, and we just watched a Monday night showing of Project Hail Mary. And so here we are. We're in it. We're in it to win it. We're gonna break it down, talk about it, and kind of get you guys up to speed. So hopefully we'll get excited about maybe going to see movies again,
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a special thing. It was a sneak preview. We were excited to be able to be a part of that. But when we get to the spoiler point, dear listener, we will let you know. So we're not going to spoil anything up until then. And we'll talk about a few things as we ramp up to the movie. But man, I'm excited to chat about this.
What would be really fun to say is that we got to go see the movie early because it was like a press release, like we're press and we got to go see early because we're part of the critics world or whatever. But the truth is, Kyle just is a member of the Regal Special Club,
Regal Unlimited has its benefits. Yeah.
That's pretty
now
great.
Let's just pretend like we're important,
we can do that.
Our lightning bolt reviews are, like
we can definitely do that. And I would be remiss without bringing up that this week we have a sponsor. This podcast is brought to us by Patchmaster of Tennessee. Patchmaster 844 Patchmaster. You break, we fix. No, we can't say that. That's something else. Totally different. You break, we fix is something else.
Someone else. The Patchmaster sounds a little bit like a Generation 1 Transformer, from like 1984. A little bit, I like it.
Could be a He-Man figure where when they break all the stuff with their giant muscles, this guy comes through and he cleans it up.
The fix-it guy. I don't know we ever had that character in He-Man. The guy who comes behind and repairs everything.
I don't think there's any drawball work in He-Man, but I would say there's probably a good bit of masonry.
G.I. Joe had a dude who did everything. There was a parachute guy, there was a explosions guy, there was a ninja, and I guarantee they had a Patchmaster on their squad.
He would have been Major Patch Man or something like that.
That's right. He'd have an eye patch, that'd be his gimmick.
Colonel Drywall Crack is what he would be.
Colonel Drywall.
All right, let's talk about stuff. Let's talk about movies. Project Hail Mary is specifically a film adaptation of a bestseller by Andy Weir. Andy Weir wrote The Martian. He wrote this movie and this book. And, to quote Tracy Morgan, books are like brain movies. And that's kind of what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So
he wrote
film
one
adaptation. What's that?
He wrote one other, didn't he? That maybe it has not been made into film yet. Artemis or something like that.
What'd you say?
Artemis? Was that maybe?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Okay. I hadn't read that one.
Yeah, it was okay. I think we're attributing that to him. I'm kind of nervous about saying that now. We may have to look that up real quick.
Yeah, look it up. Who knows? I was looking at it was like a social post, and I thought it had 3 books there, and it was Project Hail Mary, The Martian, and then Artemis. But I may be wrong. I may have either misread it or it was something else entirely, and I just am not remembering.
Yeah, he did write that. I don't remember what it is. I was thinking about a book that the guy that did Ready Player One wrote, and I'm just getting those guys mixed up. But it's not that.
Yeah.
So
no, not that. Okay,
but we're here to talk about Project Hail Mary. But it does bring the question up of film adaptations, taking books to make movies.
Yeah.
Are they ever successful?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. When I was thinking through this, obviously I Googled, film adaptations, and there's way more than you realize But in terms of like books that I've actually read that have been turned into, turned into movies, it was a little harder to find some that I really, really, really liked than I thought. Your obvious answers are the Lord of the Rings, and your mileage varies on that depending on how much you love the books. If you love the books, and you probably don't really love the movies because they stray pretty far in a lot of ways from the movies. We got a buddy, Blake, who can't stand can't stand the movies because they stray so far. But the films are great, obviously. But that's sort of like the pinnacle of, not everything that's written in a page can translate to film. And so you have to make choices. And, the choices Peter Jackson made in The Lord of the Rings is just, were epic. I mean, the Academy Awards just happened the other day. It won like every single one. The Return of the King, it was the landslide winner that night, like 10 or 11 awards or something. So that would probably be the pinnacle for most people. But I've got some others. What about you? What are some ones that
well, I was just going to say, this is, the more I think about it, I mean, how many movies actually come from books? Like a bunch.
Yeah,
And so like, I think we're probably discussing the blockbuster type. We're not really talking about, everything. Everything that's out there, I mean, the Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption, they come from short stories. They come from, they're adaptations of Stephen King short stories and things like that.
Yeah. So, did you say Shawshank? Did you say Shawshank?
Yeah, I think
Shawshank.
I did.
Stand by Me. Believe it or not, Stand by Me was and that's one of my favorites. It'd be on my list, but I've never read the book.
Yeah.
But that was a incredibly formative film. When I was like 11. Probably a little too young to see that one, but
yeah.
I saw it on ABC. ABC movie night of the week or whatever. They totally censored out the Barfarama.
I was going to say, you didn't see the dead body, right?
They did show it. Yeah, they did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Spoiler alert for Stand By Me. They find a dead body at the
It's been 30 years, but yeah, that's
probably a little more like 40.
Maybe so.
I think it's 40 exactly. I believe that was 86, Jay.
Yeah.
Party Trick Kyle here. I believe that was 1986.
We should probably dedicate a whole episode to old Rob Reiner and his great films. And,
man.
Stand By Me is up there for sure. But film adaptations. Give me some of like, you got something you want to talk about as far as like favorites of yours?
When I was thinking through, books that I've actually read, tons and tons of film adaptations, but books I've actually read, the three that kind of rose to the top for me in no particular order, but like the first one that really came to my mind was The Martian, who was written by Andy Weir. We'd already mentioned that we're talking about Project Hail Mary today, but that was that's probably, man, I would say in my like top 10 favorite films of all time. I love The Martian. It is
fun to rewatch.
Fun to rewatch. We watched it just again last week. We were at spring break and our plans kind of fell through, so we were just staycation, and we went through the space trilogy. We don't have to get too derailed on this, but we watched Gravity on Monday night, we watched Interstellar on Tuesday night, and we watched The Martian on Wednesday night. It was boom, 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 3 nights in a row, the space trilogy. And The Martian was by far the favorite in my household. Everybody, my boys, my wife, we were all like, that's the best one. And I think there's some reasons why, and maybe we'll talk about that when we get to Project Hail Mary.
Bring back up Gravity when we get back to the movie we're talking about today. I'd be curious to hear kind of your thoughts on some of that. Like, I think there's, the whole concept of like, even that, this is weird, but in some ways, I thought a lot about Tom Hanks as I was thinking about this and Castaway. There's a Castaway kind of element to this story. The location's obviously different, but similar kind of deal, solitude and things like that.
I had the same thought, and hopefully I'll remember to talk about that. I want to put Ryan Gosling in the Hall of Fame, but we'll get there. We'll get there in a minute.
I'm curious to see what Hall of Fame you're putting him in. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So you mentioned The Martian.
Yep. Love The Martian. Number 2. Okay. Going to take you back in time. Again, no particular order, but probably one of the most faithful adaptations I have ever seen to the book. You may not even have remembered this one. Excuse me. But Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsiders. Did you ever see The Outsiders?
Oh yeah, Pony Boy.
Yeah, Pony Boy. Just the all-star Brat Pack cast. I mean, Patrick Swayze, Ralph Macchio, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez. Like everyone was in that movie.
Tom Cruise,
83. Yeah, very young Tom Cruise, who He went. Have you heard the story? He went full-time cruise even in '83. He jacked his teeth up. Like he's already had kind of jacked up teeth, but he like chipped a tooth on purpose for the role. And if you look at his teeth, man, they're a mess. And and he does a backflip off a car. He's like, I've got 4 lines in this movie, but you're gonna remember me. He went full Tom Cruise. But yeah, The Outsiders was one of my favorites, man. Diane Lane, man. Gosh, I think that's probably the first time I ever saw Diane Lane. That or Lonesome Dove, and recognize like she's talking about Hall of Fame. Diane Lane,
lovely lady,
1980s Hall of Fame for Kyle Wiltshire.
Yeah,
and then number 3.
Okay,
let's you want to say something more about Outsiders? Yeah.
No, I'm ready.
All right, so when I was thinking about maybe movies that I enjoyed more than the book, possibly the adaptations were so good, I would have to say Dune Part 1 and 2 that just came out.
Kyle MacLachlan, Sting. You're right. Those
No, not that one.
Not that one.
Not that one. No.
You're talking about Denny's film.
Dennis Villanueva? Is that how you say it? Dennis Villanueva. Yeah,
Denny.
I was listening to a podcast recently. They're like, he sounds like a defenseman for the New York Islanders from 1982. Like Denis Villeneuve. How do you say his name? Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve. Like,
just cough at the end and you're good.
Those were fantastic, and relatively faithful. For as weird as that book is, they were relatively faithful to the source material. Probably as much as you could get for how vast and expansive that story is. But those would be the top 3 for me. The Martian, Dune, and The Outsiders. What about you? Anything jump to your mind?
Well, I mean, I think that The Martian for sure is up there. I always have a little bit of issue whenever Hollywood's up a book.
Yeah.
And so I felt like they did an admirable job of this Andy Weir book when it comes to The Martian, of only Hollywooding it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but they change it. And, that's okay. I think that's when you find a book that you love, you want it to be faithful to the adaptation. Like you want the movie to be faithful to the book, because so many times what the book does is so good. That's the reason why you're there.
Yeah.
And, you get into all those, who's the guy that wrote the Notebook and, all those
Nicholas Sparks.
Yeah. And ladies and the Nicholas Sparks, you don't want to mess with that. And some fellas as well, your Michael Crichton books and your John Grisham novels. I mean, this is Hollywood has a long history of taking things and sometimes making them great and sometimes not so much.
Well, we had an episode in season 1, if you remember, where we went back and debated Ready Player One, and how unfaithful it was to the actual plot of the book, but how I felt it kind of captured the spirit, and it also brought it into something that Gen Z could enjoy, not just the 80s kids, the Gen X kids like us who love that old stuff from the 80s, but brought it up, made it where it was.
Well, I mean, there's so much of that book in Ready Player One, and we love the book. It's one of our favorites, but there's so much of that where it's like he's playing a video game. How are we going to make that cool?
Right.
Like you're not going to make that cool. That's not a good movie. But
as try as hard as they did, in Stranger Things, Dungeons and Dragons still isn't cool. And it's not culturally pervasive. You know what I mean?
No.
There are people who love the game and know the different points and elements and how to play it and all that. But
there's also people that will pray for you if they find out that you play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, that's true. But so much of the book Ready Player One was built around how you play Dungeons and Dragons, and it probably just would have gone over most people's heads if they weren't familiar with how to play the game. And so the things that Steven Spielberg did, I thought made it a really good adaptation, even though it was a highly different story. In terms of the way
I don't know. I in the moment, real time, going to see it for the first time, I did not love it. I did not love it nearly as much as I love the book. With a little time, as you mentioned, it does improve, I think, because you're able to separate the two and make them two things, which I think is important. And maybe what we should do, today, talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about the book and we're going to talk about the movie, but they are two separate things, even though they're siblings. They're not twins. I think that's probably a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Well, there's just so many though, you know, I mean, so many. Forrest Gump is an adaptation of a book, you know, like we said, Shawshank, you know, a lot of great books, great stories. You know, we love The Lord of the Rings, didn't care so much for The Hobbit, how they, you know, how they adapted that. But so I mean, there's a ton. And it's a great place for source material. Hollywood, if you would like to find a really good one that you hadn't discovered yet. Um, Let me introduce you to the Dead Rock Stars by Jay Watson and Kyle Wiltshire. Great adaptation, just waiting to be made.
Yes, indeed. That would be a dream come true, wouldn't it?
It would, it
Yeah,
would.
that'd be
Even if
awesome.
even if they mess it up, you know.
That's right. We can take their money while they mess it up, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So
Exactly.
let's talk about Project Hail Mary. Like, we love movies and
Yeah.
we love to go to movies, and so I think that that's a good question to kind of start with. Is like, I guess part one is like, why actually go to a movie theater anymore, and part two is like, why this film? Why do we want to see this?
Yeah. You know, I think to answer the first question, why go to a movie theater? You know, I mean, they have worked really hard to make you comfortable at the movie theater. You know, it used to be when we were growing up, it was how many can we cram into this room? The seats are tight. You know, there may or may not be armrests. There's no cup holders, all that stuff. It was just, you know, it was kind of uncomfortable. But you know, we didn't know any better and we enjoyed it. But now, man, most of the seats are recliners. We were a little thrown off. We went to see it last night in IMAX, and the screen we were at didn't have the recliner chairs. We were like, oh man, like we went full 47-year-old, you know, right in that moment. But the seats were super comfortable. You know, a lot of places have recliners. A lot of places like you can like through your app like order food and stuff, and they bring it to you. You know, I mean, it's like
Yeah. And some of that is fighting to keep people coming to movie theaters, but like the whole bigger question of why even go to a theater, I think there are things that are missing at home, when it comes to going to a movie. One is the
yeah,
communal experience of walking in together, walking out together, the buzz around it, how do you feel, and kind of the event of it all.
yeah,
I think two, man, it's really easy at home when you get bored or when something happens or whatever. You can look at your phone, you can hit pause, you can go to another room, and you tend to digest art, film, artwork, whatever you want to call it. You tend to digest it in pieces rather than maybe how it was intended to see all
yeah.
at once. And it's nice to be able to go somewhere and to be able to focus on just that one thing and
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah, yeah, phones are discouraged. Yeah, you're really kinda locking in and paying attention. You know, there was a funny bit on the Academy Awards the other night with, Conan and Sterling K. Brown about how movie executives are wanting movies to, over and over again repeat the plot of movies because so many people are second screening while they're watching movies, you know, that they're not going to remember the plot points, you know, their heads are down and stuff. So they did a really funny bit about Casablanca, you know, like, so you're saying we're in a joint, all the joints of the town. I can't remember the
Yeah.
quotes or whatever, and it was really funny. So yeah, I mean, it's when you're there, you have to lock in a different way than when you're at home. And the communal experience, you know, I love going to a comedy in a packed theater where it's funny. Even you know, even suspense. You got jump scared a couple of times last night.
Yes, I did. You and we went with my dad as well. You and Pops, y'all, I think y'all enjoyed that more than the movie.
I mean, dude, I was this close to nudging you, saying, "There's about to be a jump scare, Jay." I mean, I literally mean this. I was like, there's about to be a jump scare. Just prepare yourself. And it happened. I mean, you did. If you'd have had popcorn, it would have gone everywhere. It would have been like a comedy bit or
Yeah,
something.
the thing is, you didn't have to tell me. I knew it was coming. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That speaks to your ability to lock in and really,
Yeah,
enjoy a movie.
I love a good movie.
Yeah, man. So I think those are good reasons though why keep going. I love it. You know, I mean, you talk about like what's your happy place? You know, Happy
Yeah,
Gilmore when you're about to need to sink a putt, go to your happy place. One of them for me is a movie theater. Man, I love
yeah,
being there. I love, going with friends. I love watching, the new things and like the anticipation, and even if it doesn't pay off, even if you walk out going, it wasn't as good as I hoped it was, or that was better than I imagined, whatever, all of it, feeds into the experience of going there and being a part of it live, as quickly as you can go see it, and
yeah.
all that. I love it.
Well, why did you want to? Why did we choose this one? Why did we want to see this film?
Well, I think we both, read the book. We both liked the book. I think, after The Martian, I think we both are fans of Andy Weir, and his writing.
Mhm.
And so I think it just seemed like, right up our alley.
Yeah,
We're space kids. We grew up on Star Wars and Star Trek, and we love get us in space, man. For movies, we kind of love that as a setting, as a plot. Whether it's Gravity or The Martian or Interstellar, whatever. Like if a movie's set in space, more than likely I'm in for it. I may not love it, but I'm gonna be in for it to see it. So I think it was just it's just right up our alley, and kind of a increasingly, a lot of films are looking for the unlikely hero, and I think Ryland Grace, Ryan Gosling's character in the film is an unlikely hero in a lot of ways. So it was a combination of funny and science and all that. I think is just right up our alley. This is the stuff that we're made for, man. That we love.
yeah. It's funny because you go through a list of space movies, and like some of them I didn't run to the theater to see. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to see this film is because at no point did I feel like I was probably going to be educated or attempted to be educated, even though Andy Weir is a smart writer and it's a smart story. There it wasn't like a save the earth climate message. There wasn't like some kind of agenda. I mean, it's a pure, the world's going to end. We've got to do something to stop it. Well, let's all work together to do that. And so like, I knew that it is a popcorn film.
Yeah.
It is meant to be everything you would want it to be: inspirational and fun and intense and special effects and all the things. It is a prototype for a blockbuster film, and I want to see those things on a big screen. I'm
Yeah.
willing to pay for the IMAX experience for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, me too. I would echo everything you just said, and especially the part that. And again, look, man, I know film is an art form, and people want to say something about the world through their art.
And they should.
I get that, and they should, rightfully so.
But I don't have to go to it if I don't want to.
And that's not what I wanted from The Martian. I was glad that they kept it's astropage destroying the sun, not we're doing it. Some
Yeah.
kind of environmental
Yeah.
twist or whatever. Not that we should care for the earth. Don't get me wrong. We should take care of the earth. Anyway, no, I'm right there with you. I was glad that it didn't get preachy or that it didn't get any, kind of pushing a message or anything apart from, friendship, selflessness.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
getting into our maybe our 30-second reviews a little bit, but
Yeah.
I did want to, before we get to, we're 24 minutes in, and we still haven't really got to the meat of the movie, but I did want to ask you a little bit about, the important characters and people in the film, obviously Ryan Gosling, but also wanted to talk to you about Lord and Miller, the directors. But let's do Gosling first, unless you want to circle back.
Well, I think maybe we could start with just a quick synopsis of the film,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
maybe our 30-second reviews, and then after that we'll go dig into Lord and Miller. We'll dig into Gosling, kind of our thoughts on all that and kind of what they did and how they did it, because I think it matters and it pertains. I think we could really, I think it'll be difficult. We'll start to take a tumble into other stuff when we talk about Gosling and all those other things.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
Do you want to take a stab at the synopsis? You want me to? How do you want to do that?
Yeah, you go for it, man. Synopsis it up.
All right. See if I can do it succinctly. Project Hail Mary is a blockbuster popcorn film about the sun being under attack and the world coming together to figure out how to solve that problem. Ryan Gosling is part of that solution, and we get to watch his journey from the high school classroom into space to try to save the universe, for that matter. And that's really what you need to know about this film.
Yeah. I mean, we can say this, without getting into spoilers or without getting, in too much. Like, it starts off, he's already in space and he doesn't know why he's there. And so that's kind of an interesting way to begin the film. Apart from it's not really told in a linear fashion. So that's kind of cool. It's an interesting way to tell a story. And so it all kind of pieces together to a climax at the end on a couple different fronts. So yeah, that's good synopsis. The sun is under attack by, what we find is some type of alien life form. And they gotta figure out what's going on.
Fungus is among us is basically what's going on.
There's a space fungus
Yeah, Among Us.
among us. Among us. Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, good. I think that gets the people nice and ready.
Are we ready to dive in a little bit to some spoiler town and maybe a quick 30-second review?
Yeah, let's 30-second review it up. I think they're spoiler free. Our reviews are spoiler free. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think we're going to say anything that's not in the trailer.
Yes. If you've seen the trailer, you're not going to be spoiled if you've seen the trailer. Yeah.
No. Are you ready for your 30-second review?
Think so. Yeah, man. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I can't wait. We haven't really talked about this. So we went to the movie together.
Yep.
And in classic Watson&Wiltshire fashion, we kind of left after it was over with because we knew we were going to be talking about it for an hour. And so we didn't really talk about it.
We're like, yeah, let's get out of here. Let's go. And it was cold. We had to get to the cars.
It was cold. This is a weird time to be in Middle Tennessee. But you know who's not afraid to be in Middle Tennessee? That's Patchmaster, 844 Patchman. All right. Are you ready for your 30-second review, Kyle?
I think so. I decided this season I'm going to be transparent and upfront. I'm not doing this just right off the dome. I want to honor this film especially and give a thought out. So
you've written it. You're prepared.
I'm prepared. For this. It didn't matter if you're not. I'm just telling you, this is the way I wanted to approach at least this one. Maybe all of them, but at least this one.
I can't wait.
So here we go.
You want to give me a 3, 2, 1 countdown and I'll hit the timer?
Yeah, buddy. Here we go.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Let's do this. Project Hail Mary is a faithful adaptation of a novel that is a breath of fresh air. Its hopefulness and its optimism in the face of long odds stands in stark contrast to so many of the movies and the TV shows that we're getting right now. Ryan Gosling is fantastic as Ryland Grace. It's a great time at the movies. I think you should go see it. I think you should take your whole family to go see it. And I give it 4 lightning bolts.
Boom. Okay. That was great. Just 4 though. That's interesting.
Yeah. 4 out of 5. I mean, wasn't perfect, but 4 out of 5. You go back and look at my lightning bolts. I'm pretty, I'm a hard critic when it comes to.
No, I don't disagree. Everything I heard you say up to that point, I was like, okay, where's he landing with this? So
yeah.
So that was good. All right.
I could be talked up to 4.25, but I'm gonna stay with 4 right now.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I have not prepared anything.
Oh, I
don't know how this is going to go.
I think you're better off the cuff, man.
Sometimes. Sometimes. Less thinking, more doing.
All right, here we go. I got the timer ready. Got the timer ready. All right. You count me down and I'll hit the start button.
3, 2, 1. Project Hail Mary is a film that you must go see in the largest screen you can see it. There are not that many times anymore where us as moviegoers are wowed by something. This is a wow type film. This is a film where you can have a moment, just like Ryan Gosling has a moment in the film. You must go see it in the theater. You must celebrate this film, and you got to tell people about it because it's really, really good.
How many stars? All right.
I'm gonna give it five lightning bolts. I am by no means saying that it is a perfect film. I am saying it is a perfect movie going experience. Everyone should go do it. There is no reason you shouldn't go to this. And so for that reason, it gets 5 lightning bolts.
Wow. 5 lightning bolts.
Yeah. It's a 5er for me.
Cinco.
Yeah.
Man. Okay.
I would go see it again, and then I would go see it again after that.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna take the whole fam. If everybody's willing to go, even my daughter, my youngest, I think she would really, really enjoy it.
Yeah,
she's not a space movie gal. I think she'd really, really get into it.
So Ryan Gosling, this is basically a Ryan Gosling joint, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like Michael B. Jordan in Sinners a little bit, or Tom Hanks in Castaway. I mean, you're watching Ryan Gosling the entire time. One of the things that I was the most worried about from the book to the film adaptation was Ryan Gosling's too handsome. Ryan Gosling's too whatever. Doesn't really look like a scientist, whatever that means. For me, I felt like I spent very little time being reminded it was Ryan Gosling. Like there was only one time in the movie that I was like, he's too handsome for this story. And that was when she was singing the Harry Styles karaoke song, and he was just sitting there mugging while from the bar looking at her. I was like, you're too pretty. You're too pretty to be a scientist. That's where I was at that point. But other than that, like it did not impact me one bit that Ryan Gosling was this character. I felt like he embodied the role quite well.
Well, that scene is one of the reasons why it doesn't get 5 stars from me. We can come back to it, but but let me tell you the Hall of Fame that Ryan Gosling goes into for me after this film.
I can't wait.
He goes into the Acting Against Nothing Hall of Fame.
With
the initial class for me is obviously Tom Hanks. Wilson! You know, he's the greatest. He's the GOAT of acting against nothing. But number 2, this one might surprise you a little bit. All right. Because he's not necessarily acting against nothing, but half the movie, Mark Hamill is acting against a puppet in Empire Strikes Back. He has no other human interaction. It's Yoda, the puppet. Now, if it would be done today, it would have been CGI. Thankfully, we got practical effects in 1980, and so you get a real, performance out of something. But anyways, so it's Ryan Gosling from this movie, it's Tom Hanks, and it's Mark Hamill for me. The acting against nothing.
I saw a Instagram reel recently that was from Twilight. So in Twilight, you got Kristen Stewart, you got Robert Pattinson, and then who's that other guy that's in that movie that plays the wolf?
Jacob Lautner or something like that.
Okay.
Something like that.
So in the film, Kristen Stewart is like petting this giant werewolf, like in the movie. And then the reel is her petting him in a green suit where he's just kind of like leaning over. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. And so like, I don't know that Twilight is ever going to be a film that anybody's like, oh, they should win a Hall of Fame acting award. But I cannot imagine what it would be like to have some kind of meaningful moment where I'm petting a dude in a green bodysuit.
Right.
Like, I don't see that happening.
Well, there's probably a whole lot of others, Marvel, just about everyone, any interaction with Thanos is, I guess, a lot of those guys are in suits, Avatar, they're motion capture or whatever. But
and I mean, you've got Shia LaBeouf saying no 700 times in all the Transformers.
That's right. Talk about even when he's acting against acting with Megan Fox, he's still acting against nothing.
Oh, wow.
Just get the flamethrower out.
Why do I have the feeling that that's probably not going to make an Instagram reel, that's probably going to be a deep cut for somebody to watch the whole podcast? I have a sinking suspicion that they're going to have to dig deep for that one.
Find it.
Yeah, that's great. I thought Gosling was pretty terrific.
Amazing. Yeah. I have in my life, there have been 2 actors that I have had what I call season tickets for. And you could probably guess them. Tom Hanks is one and Harrison Ford is the other.
Yeah.
And after Gosling in this, and oh gosh, what was the film just his performance as Ken in Barbie is so good. He is so good in that movie.
Yeah.
He darn near steals the show from Margot Robbie as Barbie, Yeah. I am considering season tickets for Ryan Gosling. I mean, I know he's probably in some junk, some clunkers that aren't great, but
I mean, not really. I mean, I don't know that he's been in anything horrible in the last 5 years. Like Fall Guy was not bad. Fall Guy was quite good.
Yeah, I never saw that. I need to go back to that one.
Yeah, Fall Guy's not bad at all. It's got great live stunts. That's kind of the whole thing about that thing is it's a movie about stuntman with live stunts that's really done well. And so like as long as you don't get too caught up in like things that like are important, like plot, like it's a wonderful film.
Yeah.
And Gosling does a great job in it. And then La La Land, I mean, like he hasn't had too many misses as of late. And like, if you haven't seen him playing either Beavis or Butthead on an SNL, like you haven't lived.
Even First Man, which wasn't as good as, some of Damien Chazelle's other movies. Isn't that how you say his name? Damien Chazelle? Something like that.
We'll say it is.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like pronouncing something in the Old Testament. We'll just say it.
Just say it. Just say it with confidence. Even that film, which wasn't as good, his portrayal as the stoic Neil Armstrong was pretty moving, pretty good. He did a lot to make that film more watchable for me, and again, I'm a space guy, so I was really looking forward to it. And it was a little bit of but anyway, so I'm contemplating season tickets for Ryan Gosling. He's really good.
I could get on board with that. I thought he was terrific for a movie where you basically see him the whole time. Like you don't get bored.
Yeah.
And
he holds the screen.
Yeah. It's a beautiful film.
Yeah.
Like they do a great job with set design. Like even inside a sterile spaceship, it doesn't feel sterile. Um, since we're already into the spoiler world, like he basically spends the time talking to a
Spoiler warning.
yeah,
Spoiler warning.
he spends the movie talking to a crab that's a rock that
A rock
like
crab, yeah.
that doesn't have a face.
Right.
Like there's not a face on this thing. There's
Right.
no, it's the closest thing it gets to emoting is showing you hand signals.
Right.
And like the fact that he did so good with that, like amaze. That's where
Yeah.
I'm at with this. Like I thought it was I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was there like that. I think that's probably going to be a classic. I think that's going to be up there for younger generations. It's going to be their ET. It's going to be their films for them when they go back and they talk about being wowed by movies. That's going to be one of them.
Well, speaking of younger generations, like that's why I said intentionally in my 30-second review, it is clean as a whistle. I mean, there may have been an innuendo or two along the way, maybe one or two, kind of mild profanities, but I was shocked at how
Yeah, now that you say
squeaky
that,
clean it was.
Yeah, now that you say that, I actually expected a couple to pop up out of his mouth. Like I expected in a certain moments for that to be the thing, and that wasn't what they chose to do.
Yeah, well, that was like a plot point in the book that he didn't curse because I think it's because he was a teacher and he didn't want to, he wanted to
Okay.
be a good influence, for his
Yeah.
kids. So
Yeah, I
even
guess
in the
you're right.
book, he was like fudge, and like,
Yeah,
he would use substitutions.
yeah.
So I mean, it was really really clean. Like I any age kid I think can see it. Man, it's a little scary in certain points, jump scare.
I think the original book is a little bit more chronological, not much because the scenes come back as he's getting amnesia, but I don't think we start the book where they started it. I think they started more in the classroom.
No, it's all. I mean, the book starts. He awakens. Yeah, since we're in full spoiler again, one of the small things why they yada yada a lot, and they have to. There's look. I mean, this is a thick book. There's a lot in there, and they can't say everything. But there were several chapters at the beginning, at least in my memory, where he didn't even know his name. And the computer tells him his name in 30 seconds, or calls him by name in 30 seconds. So I kind of thought that might have been a little bit of an interesting, plot point in the film that he couldn't remember his name, and he had to, he couldn't even get out of the main room he was in the book until he, could remember his name. Then he could move around about the ship. And so that was in the beginning of the movie. They tell him his name and he's moving all over the ship, right out of the start, as soon as he wakes up from his coma. And so that was kind of like, a little bit different. And so that put me off just a little right at the start. And again, it's your expectation as having read the book coming in. And I guess I'll go ahead and say this now. I wish I hadn't read the book. I think I would have enjoyed the movie a lot more this first time.
Probably.
If I hadn't read the book, because you have something to compare it to. Didn't read The Martian until after I saw the movie, and so I had nothing to compare it to. And so when you go back and read the book second, it's like, oh yeah, there was this whole like dust storm thing they didn't include in the movie. That's kind of cool,
So I think a moral to that story is kids don't read books.
That's not the moral. No, that's not.
Oh no,
that's not the moral.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry. I misspoke.
Yes, you misspoke. But yeah, just little things like that, and they're filmmaking choices that you have to make. You can't have everything from a book in the movie. So
they jump pretty fast into being able to communicate with each other. That happened quite quickly.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, that wouldn't have been fun to watch.
No,
I mean, I think one of the things you did say when we walked out is they really took a lot of science out of this story.
Yeah,
and I think they attempted to make it a little bit more accessible to all ages, and kind of what they did and the way they did it.
Right, and it'd be boring. Some of the science that was a couple of 2 or 3 chapters maybe of at the end, developing the antidote to the astrophage, the little space fungus that's destroying the suns of their 2 worlds. We're talking as people know the story. We've really not gotten too deep into the story apart from the brief synopsis, but we kind of zip right here to the end. But there was chapter after chapter of what they had to do to build up the resistance to the astrophage and how they the life that they found.
It's a pretty clever story. I mean, basically, there's this alien bacteria or fungus or life form or whatever, and it is eating the sun. And it's been eating all of these suns across the solar system, and now it is arrived with us. And there's this path, and they find this one sun that sits in the middle of all these suns being eaten up that isn't dying.
Yeah,
and they're like, we've got to go to this one place to figure out what's going on, and we've got to send people to do it.
Right.
And Ryland Grace is this high school teacher that had a PhD that was real stubborn, and he had this belief that life could exist without water. And so they have this thing eating the sun, and they're figuring it all out. And like, I just feel like Andy Weir did a really good job of creating plot story that really was interesting. It made sense. Like, you could at least conceive of the science, even though you didn't necessarily understand it.
Yeah.
And then the solutions that they used, like how they solved things and how they discovered things, were really interesting.
Yeah.
And then, how they used the alien life form to be able to do things that they were never able to do before, to make this journey, this 11 light year journey. All that was really, really well done as far as plot points. And then bumping into an alien who's trying to do the same thing.
Right.
Is great. That's a great story point.
Yeah.
And you got two guys. It's a buddy film, like you said earlier. It's about friendship.
Yeah.
And it was a very pure buddy film.
Right.
Like, any worry about this guy trying to eat, Ryland Grace, or I mean, like in most films, it's like aliens are bad, right? Like, aliens are bad. And that's one of the things why E.T. was kind of interesting, because he wasn't. And so they go pretty quickly into letting you know that this guy's trying to do the same thing that Ryland's trying to do. And so they what's better than a team up, a team up story.
Yeah.
And kind of how they do what they do and all the different pieces to it. I mean, you've got an engineer who's a rock man, and you've got a scientist who's the other piece of it. And the two together, they do really cool things. And you see friendship on a level that is really pretty great.
Yeah. You think about it, like, if this book were written, 75 years ago or whenever, a sci-fi book from the past, and you get two men stuck in space, like, it's going to be pretty stoic. You're going to get some stiff upper lip, like, thank you for helping me, in this current climate and day and age, when Rocky, that's what he calls the alien creature, when he saves his life, or actually when he agrees to give him fuel to get him back home, he hugs him. He wants to hug him, like, and he goes and he puts his arms around the ball that he's constructed to move around in. So I was like, yeah, it's really pretty moving, the portrayal of friendship of two guys who can't even, they can't even high five. They can't even shake hands,
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a fun, it wouldn't have been like this if it was made in a different generation. So it's just cool to see the vulnerability and the openness, and a great buddy friendship film. So yeah, loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I don't know that I've seen a film, and I have to think about this, and I'm sure you're about to prove me wrong the second I say it out of my mouth. So that's fine. I'm prepared for that. Has there ever been a story where the protagonist and the buddy, Batman and Robin, whatever, they both have these goals to save their planets. They succeed, but rather than them going home to the parade, or rather than giving up their life to die, there's kind of this alternate conclusion where Ryland Grace doesn't get to go home right away. And we don't know whether he chooses to go home. It's kind of how it's left on a bit of a cliffhanger. Like, I think that's a really enjoyable story point where you can see, whoever goes on this journey is probably not going to get to go back home.
Yeah.
And the chance that there is a chance to not go back home, but like all the different things that could go wrong, and like him ending up on Rocky's planet.
Yeah.
I really, what you got? Prove me wrong.
No, it's not a prove you wrong, but you may have seen this movie. You may remember 1985, Enemy Mine, Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr.
Yeah,
where these two, I think they were warring.
They were warring, and they get stuck on a moon.
They get stuck together. Yeah. And they end up becoming friends. And Louis Gossett Jr.'s character dies in like a child comes out of his head or so. I don't even remember. It was kind of creepy when I was a kid and saw it. And then Dennis Quaid has to raise the child of this guy who was his mortal enemy, but now they're, now it became his friend. So that was the first one that came to mind as like, two guys who, have to
what
do.
Was the Louis Gossett Jr.
together.
movie that was like the Temu version of Top Gun?
Iron Eagle.
Iron Eagle. Yeah, those were good.
Joel Reynolds and I love Iron Eagle. That's one
Because
of
they had
our.
like Iron Eagle 4, Iron Eagle
Oh
5,
yeah,
didn't they? I mean, they had a
yeah.
bunch of them
The
straight to VHS after a while.
Iron Eagle 2, like the guy who's the hero in the first one dies in like the first 10 minutes. You're like, what? You know, Doug Masters, man, he went down. And they didn't even, they may have Highlander 2, that one. They may have brought him back like in Iron Eagle 4 or something. No, he actually didn't die. I don't know. Anyway, that's a digression. Way off track.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel pretty good to say that there hasn't been a film in 40 years probably that's done quite like that was, as far as that little turn.
Yeah.
Like it's a good turn. The story's good. The acting is good. The special effects, man, like I was moved at some of those space scenes, and I was curious, like Gravity, when it first came out, was kind of known for its special effects as far as space and the beauty of it. But like how like if you go back and you look at The Martian, you go to Gravity, you go, what was the other one?
Interstellar.
You watch Interstellar. Interstellar had amazing special effects, like real kind of practical kind of stuff. Like how did space compare in this film for you to those?
Yeah, you know, it's like I think they kind of like in a lot of ways, Gravity kind of cracked the code of, you know, the vastness of space, the hugeness of Earth, you know, and just making it look powerful and stunning, and also terrifying. You know, the deep darkness and you know, coldness of space, you know, all that. And so I think, you know, in a lot of ways, a lot of films kind of build on that, on what Gravity did. But yeah, Interstellar as well. You know, um, I would say this tried to do something a little different with space and making it colorful. You know, because when they get to the planet, it's green. It's, you know, it's this beautiful green. And you know, some of there's some reds, and you know, when they do kind of the infrared light,
the lights, the spectrum of lights, how Rocky sees the world versus how humans see the world, and how, you know, it's all so basically sonar and different things like that. Like that kind of blew me away in certain parts. Like you know, this is probably a good time to talk about Lord and Miller. Like the thing that they're the most famous for before this would have been Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And that is one of the most beautiful works of art when it comes to like a cartoon movie that I think has ever been made. And I think you can kind of see their hand in this when it came to that particular style of this film.
Yeah.
You know, Rocky, there's not much special about making a rock pretty, but they somehow managed to make it interesting. And when it came to the outside parts of space and the different things they did, man, it was gorgeous.
When you know, if I would have read the book and then somebody just would have said, you know, who do you think should make this film? I don't know that Lord and Miller would have been in my top 10, you know?
No, I mean, they basically got fired off of Han Solo, right?
Yeah, Solo. Yeah. That was kind of other than, you know, the Spider-Man stuff and like Lego, I think the Lego movies, you know, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, you know, animation basically.
Well, and before that, comedy. I mean, I think they got their break on Arrested Development.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know their full resume, but you know, I would not have said, yeah, those are the dudes that need to do this movie. You know, you think about Ridley Scott did The Martian, you know, like you talk about an auteur, you know, I've been using this analogy with my sons. We've been going through Marvel movies. We're going through the X-Men movies now, in preparation for Doomsday coming up at the end of the year, you know. And I said, guys, you know, when Marvel is at its best, it's like a really awesome cheeseburger. It's delicious, but it's just, you know, it's not gourmet. You know, it may be a gourmet cheeseburger, but it's still a cheeseburger. Maybe the original Black Panther might tip its way toward, you know, I said, there are films out there that are filet mignon. There are films out there that are like fine dining, gourmet, you know, as like, I need to expose you to some of those movies. And that's a little bit why we move, not that Gravity and Interstellar and Martian are all, you know, fine dining, but they're all,
but it's a step,
you know,
it's a step.
Yeah. And so, you know, thinking about, you know, sort of kind of the gourmet element of movies, Ridley Scott is the king of making burgers out of filet mignon, you know, like filet mignon burgers, like the tastiest burger you ever see, but it's still going to be crowd pleasing. It's not going to have small portions, you know, when you go to the 5-star restaurant or whatever, it's going to be like, dang, this is the best burger I've ever eaten. It's amazing. You know, when you think about his films, they're all, you know, so good.
Let's think about this for a second though. How old is Scorsese?
I think he's in his 80s. I think.
How old is Spielberg?
He's in his 70s for sure.
How old is James Cameron.
Big Jim, probably in his 70s. Yeah, all those dudes.
How old is Ridley Scott?
I mean, he's pushing 90. He really is.
So like we're heading to a time where these people that are known for making these films, they're going to stop at some point. I
Yeah.
mean, like without being too like morbid, like they're not going to be able to anymore.
Right.
And so
They got to
like,
hand off.
who are you handing it off to? And I got to tell you, man, the mix of comedy and story and emotion and editing and kind of moving a story along, like this is about as gourmet of a filet mignon burger as you could do, as far as like how they put it all together. Like this works on so many levels.
Well, that's ultimately where I was going to go with this Lord Miller thought, is that I wouldn't have thought, oh, those are the guys for this. But after having seen it, I think those were the guys for that.
Yeah.
Getting that right blend of humor, of poignancy, of spectacle, special effect. Even though animation was sort of their thing in the past, they knew how to capture what needs to be on the screen.
Yeah.
And how to create that. So I think they were the right guys, and I'm really glad that they got the opportunity. I don't know who would have done it. I don't know who would have had been tabbed to do that. I was thinking maybe the guy that Lee Isaac Chung, he did Twisters and he did Minari before that. It's a really good filmmaker. I thought he could have done an interesting take on that. I think he just bowed out. He was going to do the Ocean's 11 prequel. I just heard about this, and he bowed out. And they're saying Bradley Cooper might be moving into that. It's probably too funny for Bradley Cooper. His movies end up being a little too serious.
Little serious, yeah.
So I don't really know. I'm trying to think who could have done a good, in terms of a younger filmmaker. I mean, I'm sure there's tons of people.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been. I mean, JJ can make a funny space movie. He's done it before. I think he would have made it too stylized, though.
Probably, yeah.
I think that the guy that did John Wick, is it David Leitch or whatever, the guy who he did Fall Guy. He's done a lot of these sci-fi type, or not sci-fi, but action films and funny and all the things. Like, he's coming up.
Yeah.
There are a couple. The Deadpool creator. That the Deadpool Wolverine movie was done by Reitman, right? Wasn't it?
No. His name is eluding me, but he's got Ryan Gosling's next movie, the Star Wars standalone. What's it called? Oh gosh,
I'm gonna beat Sean Levy.
Yes, Sean Levy.
Beat myself up over that. Like he's got the reins on some of these things, and a lot of the Marvel films put these directors on the map that have done these kind of things. But like this needed to have heart, and it needed to be funny.
Yeah,
and it succeeded. One thing we haven't really talked much about is just things we didn't like. I've really just got one-ish. I don't know what you've got, and I'd be curious to know if they're similar or the same. I kind of have a feeling they might be.
Well, for me, I did not like the softening of I can't remember her name, but the woman who was in charge of everything. Gosh, I can't remember her. The German lady.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I could remember her name. In the book, they never softened her at all. She was very, cold precision. We got to save the world, and I don't care if it hurts your feelings, and so they, again, spoiler, they hinted at a potential romance. I think the whole
Eva Stratt, and her played by Sandra Hüller.
Yes, I think they were hinting at, when she sang karaoke, showing kind of her humanity or whatever, and he's just staring at her the moment you thought he was too good looking. And just before the lab blew up, it seemed like, they were shipping these two, as the kids say. Like they were moving toward, and now I get why they would do that in a film version versus a book version, because her quote unquote betrayal, which comes when she basically forces him to go on the mission, feels a little bit more painful. If he was kind of having feelings for her, which it's not explicit, but it's kind of implied that he may have started.
You're just trying
to
ship everybody, man. You just want to put everybody in a ship.
Maybe so, yeah. But all I have to say, I didn't like that. I didn't like that they softened her character. I'm glad that they left her heel turn in, where she basically they tackled him knocked him out and put him in the ship and said, "You're going." After
Yeah.
there was an explosion. Some of the astronauts died who were supposed to go, and so he kind of got forced into. He got drafted, voluntold. You got to go. So the dual storyline of what happened, his amnesia as it's curing, and he's remembering what led him to this point, and then he and Rocky trying to figure out how to destroy the astrophage and save their worlds, their two planets. As it kind of comes together, they both climax at the same moment when he remembers, oh, I'm not brave. I was forced to come here. I didn't want to come. I said no. They made me come. And at the same time, he's with this big choice. What am I going to do? Am I going to go home or am I going to go back and save Rocky? And he makes his choice to go back and save his one friend. So yeah, powerful stuff. I hope that I hope that we haven't we spoiled it, but for people who weren't ready for that, sorry.
Well, I mean,
We
if they
semi-warned
stuck
you.
around, if they stuck around that long, that's on them. So if I've got some nitpicks, I really liked Lionel Boyce. I thought him as Carl, that was great. I enjoyed that little bit role from the chef from The Bear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand why Melania Weintraub was the Russian. Felt like that was a little weird to see the AT&T lady be in the movie. I mean, just a little bit. I mean, not really. She was fine, but I'm just a little curious as to why, other than the fact that I guess she's Russian, or has the lineage a little bit.
Yeah.
I did not like Sandra Hüller, the Eva lady. I didn't care for her acting. I didn't really care for her. It was almost like their choice was she was kind of helping the world leaders to coddle Gosling a little bit.
Mm.
It was like always telling them to clap whenever he talked and stuff. And like, I didn't really get that. I just didn't get the choice. She didn't come off as like professional, could do anything in the world. She just came off so stoic and then not stoic and then stoic again. I felt like that could have been done. So that could have been a amazing role for somebody to really chew into. And I don't feel like that got done.
Yeah.
That if I'm complaining about anything, it's that the other characters just aren't in it that much.
Yeah.
And,
well, I think they had to create some characters. I think the Lionel Boyce, is that his name?
Yeah. Carl.
I don't believe that's a character from the book. I think that's someone that they created for the film.
Yeah.
Again, you've got to do that in film sometimes, adaptations. The other astronauts, you learned a little bit more about them in the book. So we didn't learn much, about the astronauts. So I mean, I think they kind of had to do what they had to do. I think maybe putting, I don't know her name, but the Russian woman, I think putting her in that role, maybe just
Melania Weintraub.
Okay.
I'm probably brutalizing that last name.
Maybe just have a familiar face, perhaps. The other astronaut was from Lost. You remember?
Yeah.
He was on Lost for a couple seasons. So anyway, I think, that
were there 4 of them in the book?
No, there were just 3.
Okay.
The captain, and then the Russian gal, and then him. And when he woke up, he didn't remember who they were. And in the book, he didn't remember who they were, but he mourned them. He found himself like highly emotional over seeing them dead, not just because they were dead, but because, he knew that they meant something to him. I think I didn't have a problem with the way she portrayed the character. I didn't like that they wrote her, that they softened her. I feel like in the book, she was East German. She was so German. She was East German, which hadn't existed in, 35 years or whatever. She was just very cold and precise. But that, and, they had to do a little more in the ship. I don't think the little planetarium room was in the book. I may be wrong on that. I don't think that was in the
video
book.
room.
Yeah. Where he could experience, like what it looked like on Earth,
which is, it's a cool thing to see in a movie.
It was cool. I was glad they added that. That was a good addition. But just some of the little tweaks that they did this story, like I said at the beginning, the way they handled the amnesia and some of those things. I thought maybe they just kind of shortcutted it just a touch. So
I think they probably made Rocky a little cuter than he was in the book.
Maybe so. Yeah.
I don't remember him being that small and like like there was a little bit of the menace that was taken out of him. He was just he was a little fella, you know?
He was little in the book. Yeah,
Was
he
he?
was little in the book. Yeah. What's funny is I saw the trailers before I started reading, and then I read the book, and then I saw the movie. So I already kind of had an idea of what Rocky looked like from the
Mhm.
trailers of the movie. So I've never thought about him any other way. That's the only way I've
Uh,
ever, envisioned him. And, Ryan Gosling as Ryland Grace. That's the only person I ever envisioned as I was reading the book. So, man, I'm pleased. I'm very pleased. I want to
yeah,
see it
it's a good
again. I can't wait
I
to
think
see it
we're both
again.
pretty worried about He-Man, but other than that, like this is a very promising movie season.
Yeah, very exciting. Now, let's talk about this as I think it's time to wrap up here. But let's
Yeah.
talk about this. We probably won't have another episode for about a month. As we kind of mapped out our schedule.
Yeah.
This is just sort of like the primer to, remind the world that, hey, we got a podcast. We like to review movies, and we're gonna be talking about movies. We're coming back in about a month. Should we tell them? Should we tell the people what movie?
Yeah, what's next for us,
yeah.
Kyle? What's our next movie we're gonna do?
Michael. We're gonna go see Michael, the Michael Jackson
Yeah, we are.
movie.
Antoine Fuqua? Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the guy playing Michael is his nephew, his actual real
He's a
life
Jackson.
nephew. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Jackson.
That's why the resemblance is so good. It's like, man,
Yeah.
this guy's actually family,
Yeah.
So I'm excited, man. Michael Jackson was so important to our childhood, whether you're a big fan or not. Like, you couldn't move 3 inches without, Michael Jackson being in 1984. He was
Yeah.
everywhere, so I'm really excited to see how they do this, how they tell the story.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
So that'll be our next episode, man, in April. And then after that, end of May, we'll hit the,
We'll
pretty,
hit the ground running. We'll hit the highlights, hit the big ones.
and all the movies you want us to see and talk about, we're probably going to already plan to go see them, so it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a great, great season, buddy. I'm pumped.
Yeah, man, I'm excited too. I think with that, a little outro music, and we'll call this one. It's good getting back on the saddle. We weren't perfect, but I'd give us five lightning bolts.
Oh, we were 6 lightning bolts out of 5, man. All right. Love
All
you,
right,
buddy.
man. Love you
See you,
too.
man. Adios.
Oh, I saw my drum beat too early.